7.
Welcome back, Washed Up Walkons fans. Episode 207, an episode that I belong nowhere near because I have no professional input in the matter. Kevin and Tyler went and saw a spring game, sat next to each other, touched each other a little bit, then said their goodbyes. Looking forward to hearing how the Hawks looked. I'm as much a listener today as you guys are, but I'll try and shoot my filthy input into your ears like a spit wad out of a straw. So, Kluver, you take it over.
Kev, those intros by Drake, it's just you never know where they're gonna go. You just have no idea. Welcome in to the first podcast in 2 years, a year and a half since fans that weren't normal people got to be inside Kinnick Stadium watching Iowa football. Kev, yesterday was a beautiful day inside Kinnick.
It actually got a little hot out there. I got a little sunburned.
Little warm, and got into the 60s. It was sunny. There was Iowa football players on the field at Kinnick Stadium, and they were playing football. And there were some 23Bs, Drake. There was a couple
23Bs.
Like, and every time I think about the spring game, I'll always think about one thing, and I've told the story on the pod before, but it's short. It's about our poor guy Macon and how he finished his Iowa career for spring ball with a string of 9 or so, 9 being the low end. It could have definitely been double digits, but 9 at least, 23Bs in a row with the second team.
Not good. Not good.
Can you imagine being a fifth-year senior, finishing your spring ball? Like, that there's 15 minutes left in your entire life in spring ball, but that last 15 minutes is spent on 10 23Bs.
I mean, I don't know a better way for a fullback to go out.
Dude, I do. Honestly, the way JFK went out is better.
Wow. Too soon.
Rest in peace. No, it's never too soon. That's the motto. The better way to go out is like Jack Kerner did yesterday. Jack Kerner didn't even practice yesterday. He didn't get hurt. There was nothing happened.
Fuck, dude, you just scared me.
No, I know. I saw your face and I thought, oh, now he's going to think that he like busted his ACL. Jack walked out to practice just in t-shirt and shorts, and it was just a chill day for him. He was like extra coach yesterday. Matt Hankins was also not in pads. So arguably, well, I guess Moss has just as much experience. Moss had a good day. Moss made a good play on, what was that? He came up on a screen pass and made a nice little stop.
Yeah, he got around, I forget which offensive lineman it was, and kind of took out the legs. It was a nice play.
How does the offensive line look? That's like the most important Iowa football question.
So the offensive line looked like a spring ball offensive line. I mean,
good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
So it's not like Kevin and I were sitting there like writing down notes on every single play. It was more of like a general, Kevin can tell you his thoughts, but my feeling was it's really hard to gauge what the offensive line was doing because our defensive line is in a rough spot right now with injuries and depth.
New bodies.
And so, I mean, we're talking, there's a young guy, his name's YA. I thought his name was Yaha, but it's YA. If you look at the spelling, dude, that's how you would say it. But it's YA. He's a big bastard. He came up out of the depths of the tunnel. So they don't have that, usually we'd walk down that corner stairs, Drake.
Yeah.
But to get into the stadium on those days. But now, since they built that new north end zone, those stairs are gone. And so they have to walk in the middle of the stadium down where they bring the carts through, like that death tunnel of like, where it's just like, you can literally see the inner workings of the stadium.
Yeah. I like that tunnel.
It's kind of cool. The cart came up out of there after practice as all the coaches and players walked up. We were waiting to talk to Coach Woods. We got to talk to Coach Wallace. We talked to Show. We talked to Ben Hansen. It was fucking good to see all those
Hugely
guys.
jealous.
Yeah. Yeah. We talked to all those dudes. Ben Hansen, still a legend. Most powerful person in Iowa City, according to Kevin. And this Yaha kid is fucking big, dude.
Will you please put some respect on his name, please?
Or YA. Sorry. I just
He's
call
a
him Y.
big kid.
Big kid, but he's hurt right now.
Yeah, I would love to see what he can do in some pads.
What KB? Oh, we got to talk to KB. KB,
does he have a wagon? Is he built like James Daniels?
Oh, wagon.
And
not only that, but he came up the tunnel on a cart with two other dudes, and they were all on crutches. So I don't know if we got
crutches.
I don't know if they got ankles or what they got going on right now, but it was Logan Jones and Logan Lee are two also really young D linemen. One of them got hurt today, and one of them was already hurt. And they're like, in combo with YA, those three are like three of the top 8 D linemen, right? And so as you know, fans listening to the podcast know, the way that kind of every D line works and just the nature of the position is it needs to be somewhat rotation based because it's a tough position to play, man. You get tired. You have to be an absolute wall every time you're on the field. Occasionally, you have a different responsibility if you're on the outside, but we really were working with Joe Evans and Vin Valkenburg. Play of the day was probably the kid from Dowling. His name's slipping my mind now. John Wagner put an absolute stick on somebody. I'm not sure. I can't remember which running back it was.
I think
give me your verdict on him, Blue.
He just had a free shot on a 17 Drake.
Yeah. What was that, Drake?
Give me your verdict on him. I want to hear because I heard he was supposed to be all that coming out of high school.
Wagner?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, and maybe it was because we had Epinesa, and then we've had some dudes at the D line, right? We had Davion, we had Chauncey, had some transfers in there last year. I think Wagner did have that hype out of high school. Big kid. I mean, he's a big dude. I think he's 6.
Good frame, man.
Yeah, he's got a nice frame. Yeah. Kind of like Drew.
Drew would feel so disrespected right now if you put this kid's name next to his.
Well, Drew's going to be disrespected by anybody's name next to his because he thinks he's a god. But funny story, actually, Budgeta sent Kevin a Snapchat yesterday, like middle of us sitting there in the stadium. It was just him and Drew Ott doing curls
out in the basement.
Doing curls in a basement. Like, what's going on?
You know what Budgeta told me after that? He said he hasn't. So this reminds me of what we were talking about earlier in the week, Drake. Budgeta hasn't lifted a weight in 1.5 years, and he said he did 325 for 4 yesterday on bench. So,
oh my god, that's
there's no excuse for you not benching 300 anymore.
I know, and for the listeners of this podcast, you guys will very much enjoy hearing that I now am the lowest bencher on this whole organization,
which was never the case.
Drake was the highest by a long ways.
Yeah, Drake was always like the 400-pound bench. What was your max? Like 4?
I'm not sure I ever put 400 pounds on the bar and bench.
But the estimated.
I may have done it. I think my estimated was through the roof, dude, because I could do like
you had
355 for 6 or something.
Yeah.
I
think you could have put 405 on and done a rep.
Maybe. Didn't try though, and then I went rip.
Yeah, before the pop. For those listening, Drake had a rough day at the old pro day. And honestly, dude, for those that, you're on bench press and you see those guys just completely rip apart their pecs. And I would be scared after recovery from an injury like that to get back under a bar. There would be some sort of PTSD for me. I mean, I'll be honest, there's some days where I throw on like 185 to start like getting up to like, in the 2s, whatever I'm trying to bench. And it feels a little tight. And I'm like, hey, now I'm trying to keep my breasts in shape here. I don't want any pop, snap, crackles.
Since we're on the topic of pro day and how Drake is it that I go into the biggest job interview of my life and absolutely shit my pants.
Yeah, you essentially
Hey,
did
I was the guy. I was in Step Brothers when he ripped the ketchup and onion fart, bro.
exactly what I was gonna say. You were the equivalent of Dale Dobeck when he was interviewing for the janitor position.
Hey, you want to hear a funny story? I was in the gym in jiu-jitsu and I met this Australian guy, Australian rugby player, cool as hell, awesome accent. We had a role. He asked me what I used to do if I was a wrestler. I said football. We got into the whole football conversation and he was like asking why I didn't play in the NFL. And I was like, well, maybe I wasn't good enough, but I did get hurt and never really got the opportunity. Then he really wanted to know about the injury. I told him about what happened. He was like, bloody hell, mate. He's like, that happened to you. He said, that happened. You swear to God, in front of all of them. That happened. Bloody hell, mate. I feel so bad.
You were talking to Harry Potter, bro.
Dude, it was the guy was absolutely gutted. And I was like, hey man, listen, the wounds have long since healed, but I do appreciate your empathy.
Man, that's funny. They're passionate people. It's a good little segue into our punter from down under, dude. And Kevin can tell you this. Casey Kreider was there with his family yesterday. I didn't see him because he left. He said the kids got a little they had enough before I got a chance to go over and talk to him. But he was texting me while Tori was punting. Bro's just different, man. Hey,
dude,
just different.
He's Phil Mickelson from 50 out, just putting it near the pin.
His placement is so elite. It's something that I never dealt with. And not that and this is no disrespect to the punters that I played with. They weren't on an elite level. And neither was I. We were running a
hey, and neither was I.
We were running a chop shop
ragtag
operation back then, right?
And hey, it showed through a couple of times. Like we got the job done most of the time.
Right.
But we were kind of like the Corona vaccine, to be honest. It gets the job done most of the time. But every once in a while, you're potentially going to have a stroke and die.
Yeah, you are. we literally were a chop shop special teams organization for a while there. It's like when me and Dylan Kidd rolled out there, or me and Cornbrath, it was like, hey, they got it done, right? But like they might have stole your carbonator or whatever. You might not have a rim anymore, right? The rims are gone.
Bro, they stole your carbonator.
What's it called?
Stupid bastard.
Carburetor. What's it? I don't even know. I don't know about.
Yeah, it's a carburetor.
Like you rolled the Iowa special teams was you rolled your car into the shop, and it came out, and what you wanted fixed was fixed, but you lost your rims. Like your rims were gone, and the air conditioning didn't work anymore. But hey, so Tory Taylor, he's different, right? And I mean, me and Kevin sat there and watched him. He's an absolute surgeon with his foot and a leather ball. Now, I will say this is a knock on him. And he came out last week. He was in the media, and it's fun. It's very nitpicky, and it's hard to find a knock on this kid. But the one thing that he is working on right now, and I talked to Woods after me and Kevin, I walked away from you. Woods eventually came up and I talked to him. And he said the big thing that Tory Taylor is working on right now is the traditional United States spiral punt, right? Most of his balls, all but one kick last year for Tory was what we call a pooch or an end over end or an Aussie style, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, but he hits it like a nuclear bomb.
Like a bomb, right? But there are some situations where the spiral punt would be beneficial. And that's what he's working on now. Keith, who we also sat with, Keith Duncan, said a lot yesterday. It was actually funny to sit down and talk with him.
I'm jealous you got a couple hours, little Keith daddy.
He was funny, and he told us a bunch of stuff about some of the I mean, obviously he just graduated, right? So he's talking about the guys and a lot of the guys that we don't know, giving us insight on them. He said that Torrey's basically at the point where he knows how to punt a ball. He's now just trying to come up with every little trick in the bag to fuck with returners. Like just mess with whoever's trying to catch the thing.
I want to see him hit a banana ball that hooks like a damn Bubba Watson driver on a dog leg left.
Yeah. He's I think he's got that down, and I think you'll see a few more of those this year. The problem with him trying to learn and like critique now, or not critique, but kind of hone in on some specialty stuff, is that his op time is getting a little bit slower, a little bit too slow. And something that we saw yesterday in practice multiple times, not just with him, but with the other punters as well, is right now in, 3 weeks into spring ball, 9 practices in, the op time looks slow and the defense is kind of getting there. And
they ain't blocking it up good enough is what you're saying?
They're blocking it, but it's a little dicey.
Are you saying the Seth's operation ain't working right now?
I'm just saying they need to speed it up a little bit. And they don't have, and I understand that they don't have.
Hey, does it have anything to do with the fact that they're all thinking about the 27 words that he just said before the word go?
And they're still happening, bro. Left, reg, sword, shield, super max, shift, pause on 3. Dude, it's still happening. What's sad, what's most sad, and me and Kevin talked about it yesterday too, was back when we were, I mean, even the last year, like it was Wallace's baby for a long time. So it was his voice ringing out, in the walls of Kinnick. Now it's Coach Woods, which is, there's just a little bit of a different flavor to that.
Wait, Coach Wallace isn't the punt coach anymore?
No, I mean, because
our senior year, Woods ran it all our senior year.
Wallace helped out.
No. Wallace was always the punt guy.
He was part of it, like he helped coach it, but it was Woods' thing.
Woods took over technically, and then once we're gone, now Woods is really taken over.
Really?
But, yeah. So I'm Shudak.
He was the goddamn special teams coach.
Yeah.
Well, I knew that he was the overall special teams coach. Like I understood that, but back in the day, Chris White was the overall special teams coach as well, and Wallace was the punt guy. And Wallace was always the punt guy. Like once we went to his punt operation, I just knew him as the punt guy.
Yeah. There was a fair amount of punts. There was some kicks too. Freshman walk-on Aaron Blom has a little bit of a leg in him and is a nice little backup option to Shudak. Shudak is as big as your average 4th grader, but he can absolutely boot a football.
Dude, and how about my guy Shudak running the whole race?
The race.
Nobody has ran a more thorough race. Like, I mean, I understand he's a kicker and not every day's been the worst, but for that guy, there's been some tough freaking days.
I can tell some stories too that I can't tell on the podcast. Kevin heard one yesterday that make it an absolute miracle that this kid is still on the team.
And you're 6, baby.
Unbelievable.
Cheers to the 27-year-old Caleb Shudak.
Right. Yep.
Kicking in Kinnick this year.
But what this means is we have we have grandpa kicker, grandpa punter. They're both elite. They both have great leg strength. And the snapping situation is good. Spiewak is got 8 games under his belt. He's a 6th year as well. I mean, the amount of time in college and years of life that we have at our 3 starting specialist positions, there's no way that anyone has it matched.
Nobody can touch it, right? It's 5th year and 2 6th years.
Well, Torrey is a 2nd year, but I mean, I think he's like 23 or something like that. So yeah, their combined age is like 75 and they're 3 college kids. It's insane. So special teams is going to be good. I tweeted yesterday that if we got some dudes, if Coach Wallace can find some of those fucking dudes, okay. And we saw Coach Wallace. First thing he said was like, wow, you guys should be on the fucking field. All right. Why don't you guys come down on the field? And I was like, can we do that? And Miles had just walked by, Miles Taylor. And he goes,
it's like, Miles Taylor. He just walked right in the facility like he still played here.
Just walks right in. I mean, I was like, okay, yeah, next time we'll be on.
Never in my life would I feel that comfortable. Ever.
Dude, even me.
Dude, I would go in there with a Corona mask on and knock and like start asking around. I'd start with the lowest level of people and be like, hey, what do you think? How much do they hate me around here? Like,
the girl at the front desk who's like a semester
Student.
worker. She's just there for 3 months, like checking people in. You'd be like, hey, my name's Drake. Is there a list of like people who aren't allowed in here? Or am I on that
because
list?
if there is, I need to see that list.
Yeah.
I'm potentially on it.
Get through the first level, and then you see like the secretaries. Hey, just sit there for a second, see if anyone.
Oh, speaking of secretaries, I ran into Rita last week.
You did?
I did, yeah. I saw her at the View.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she really liked our episode with Coach Polisek. She wanted to say that.
Everybody did, man. Everybody
That was
loved
great.
the episode with Coach Polisek. So
I wonder if KF listened to the Coach Polisek episode.
So here's the deal. KF has listened to the podcast, and
We've established that.
And I don't know what episodes he's listened to or how much, but I feel like our work is done. Except for that we have to get him on the podcast. I mean, that's the ultimate. Once we get him on the podcast life, him
And
coming on the podcast.
I feel like our podcast would no longer be disrespecting KF. You know, like at first it was so garbage. It was so disrespectful.
Dude, it was so bad.
But at this point, like we've actually,
it was trash, dude.
We've tried to establish
trash.
We've tried to establish the fact that we can do some like actual real media work, I guess you would call it.
Yeah.
And we're like not as trash as we used to be.
Yeah, we're like we're in the door. We're just somehow we made it to the party, but we're dressed in like flip-flops and cargo shorts and a bro tank. That's what we are.
Everyone else is in a black tie.
Right. Yeah, it's a black tie affair.
But they can't hate from outside the club.
Right. We're still in.
We still got in.
We're still in. And speaking of that, I made my way into the freaking coaches press Zoom meeting last week, which I said that I would potentially do. So I got to ask Coach Woods a question. I think everybody in there was shitting their pants because all of a sudden Tyler Kluver popped up on the Zoom call. Nobody that's supposed to gave me the password into that Zoom.
Which makes it even better, dude, which means that we weaseled our way, a little grimy way at the back door.
Yeah, I can just imagine Steve Rowe, like, on the back end of that call, just being like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Which one of you fuckers did it?
Yeah. And I asked Coach a pretty funny question. I interacted with him, and I then asked him yesterday, I was like, how'd you like seeing me in that Zoom call? And he was like, I thought I saw your name in there as I was like opening up with the statement. But I was like, what the fuck is going on? But yeah, so back to some other stuff that happened yesterday. Obviously everybody wants to know what the quarterbacks look like, who wasn't there. What's Petrus looking like? How do the backups look? Is Deuce the guy yet? I mean, there's this weird fetish that Hawkeye fans have over Deuce Hogan. And I think Kevin,
it's because he was so like,
because he was very active on Twitter. I feel.
And he was the young kid and they're the old people, you know, because when he was interacting with all his kids getting recruited, everybody was sucking his ass. KF loves that phrase, dude. Sucking his ass.
Suck his ass.
And then he was just like their lovable little 16-year-old quarterback. Mm-hmm. And still in everybody's mind, like they have an infatuation with him. Don't know anything about the kid. I'm not shitting on him. I have no idea if he can play quarterback or not. I've never seen him.
Well, and it's kind of like the way it works nowadays is I think it's always worked that way with recruiting, right? Like we get the big recruit, and up until that point, they're just the high school kid who is dominating, has never played in the black and gold, which means he's never made a mistake. People don't want to connect the dots there where he's never made a good play either, but he's never made a mistake. He's fucking gathering guys on Twitter. The reports and the stories that are being done on him say he's a confident kid. He wants to come in and grind. He's ready to just go balls to the wall. And then we get to spring practice yesterday. It's our first look at Deuce Hogan, and he's clearly the number 3 quarterback. I mean, it's not even like a little bit close. He's like clearly the number 3. I think he's actually, I would even say, and I don't think that this other walk-on quarterback has any kind of chance, but he's been in the program a couple years. I think Connor Kapisak, who's, the walk-on 4-string, no scholarship, I think him and the other kid, those two, they're kind of like.
So you're saying he's a little bit Tate Martellish is what you're telling me.
I think he has
a young kid still.
He's a young kid. And Kevin saw him. He has an awesome frame. He's got a big frame. I think.
I don't think he doesn't have Petrus's arm.
He doesn't have Petrus's arm. He doesn't have Petrus or Padilla's experience.
Is that number 2 is Padilla?
He is number 2.
Is he a little guy? Is he as little as he is?
He's short. He's a little shorter, but
he's shorter. 6'1".
He can scoot around a little bit though.
He can move. He can move. And here's what I'll say. What was the number 1 knock on Petrus last year, other than accuracy? Like when you get we got nitty gritty, right? It was his pocket presence, right? He got a little flustered. His feet were a little bit choppy. He got a little, you could tell he was a little jittery sometimes. And I'll say this, it's a spring practice. We're going against the 2s, right? But Padilla seems to have just a slightly more calm demeanor in the pocket, maybe. Even yesterday, you start to see it a little bit with Petrus again. And Petrus got banged up. He actually came off the field, and Padilla took some reps with the 1s. Padilla definitely had the best practice yesterday of all of them. He threw a couple touchdowns to Tyrone Tracy. Tracy balled out yesterday. Probably he was one of the stars of the show. I think Tracy steps in as Amir's replacement, and we have just as much talent as we did with Amir Smith-Marset. I don't know if you agree with that, Kevin. Potential.
How are we doing with the Bracey? Is there 1 or 2 Braceys on the team?
There's a Bracey. He's at safety.
I thought there was an offensive Bracey brother that was supposed to come to the Hawks.
I think it's just Reggie Bracey, who's he's a safety. He's like 2nd string safety or 3rd string safety. He's still young. Here's what I said.
We have slot guys. We have Organi. We have Tracy. It's just a matter of who's going to take over that role that Brandon Smith had on the outside, just going up and mossing dudes.
Yep. And here's my thoughts on that. First of all, 81. You pointed him out yesterday, Kevin. Desmond Hudson, big kid. Kid has an absolute frame on him. He looks like Brandon Smith, right? He's that prototype. Can we trust him like we trusted Brandon Smith in the red zone or going up top? Well, yet to be seen. But the one thing that's kind of been the buzzword on the wide receiver front is Keegan Johnson and Arlen Bruce, the 2 freshmen. And I don't think they disappointed. They both were getting reps at gunner. They both were taking some, pre-practice kick return, punt return kind of reps. They both were impressive in the way they moved. I don't know if that makes sense to a lot of people listening, but after being in the program for so long, there's a way that a position moves, right? That a safety should take his steps, that the way his hips and his shoulders come downhill. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about.
Receiver should come out of his breaks on his routes.
How a fullback comes out of his stance and kind of attacks who he's blocking, right? There's a way that it should look. And those 2 kids at a young age already kind of look that way. And I think they're going to be really fucking good. I think they're a feature. Not this year, but next year. And I think this year they get a lot of meaningful reps. I think they both play right away.
What's important is, do we have more than one really good tight end? Because Laporta is going to be elite. But
I'll say this about Laporta is that he was dominating dudes in blocks,
throwing them.
He was putting guys 10 yards downfield. And,
Jesus, he's eating them like George.
Eating. Laporta's a feature. He's an absolute feature. I think you're looking at T. Good as a feature running back. I think you're looking at Laporta as a feature tight end, and I think you've got Tyrone Tracy as a feature wide receiver.
Yeah, Laporta's not coming off the field, I don't think.
No. Now, Keith,
when the offense is on the field, he's on the field.
I'm gonna pull
conditioning up.
I'm gonna pull up the depth chart here that they busted out.
Dude, it's so crazy that Laporta was so good as a freshman. It was just like a no-brainer.
Yeah,
he was unreal. How was he that good, dude?
Well, he hit the size helps, right? And So your question is, do we have more than one? I think the answer is yes. When you have a guy like Keith Duncan who just came off that team, right? When he mentions a name and he says he's going to be good, teammates know if their teammates are going to be something because they've gotten to see so many different scenarios play out, so many different guys run through that position at the same school. And he mentioned Luke Lachey. I think that's how you say his last name. Luke Lachey, 6'6", 240, redshirt freshman, going into his second year.
And he's not on American Idol?
No, it's not Nick Lachey.
Oh, okay.
It's Luke Lachey.
Okay.
And he's got a body on him, 6'6", 240. He's out of Ohio. And Keith said that he's going to be good. So there you go. That's our second tight end. 6'6" is some size now. I don't know if we've had a 6'6" tight end since we've had Fedorowicz.
Yeah.
He was
Ray
6.
was tall.
Who?
Ray might have been 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, he wasn't 6.
Yeah, but they were around the same time, right? That was 2014. I mean,
Yeah.
it's been almost 10 years since we've had. I mean, George is 4?
4.
3.
Really?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
he plays like he's 6'9", but speaking of George, God, we need to get him on the podcast. So he's got so many toys in that fucking gym of his. He's got a Vasper machine, which is like, I mean, can't wait to have him on.
All I know is that he better have bought that Clash of Clans package that he was talking about.
Yeah. So tight ends look good. Wide receivers, we're not going to have Brandon Smith, Anamir Smith-Marset, that kind of established presence. But I think we have Tyrone Tracy, who maybe becomes, he could break out and be a guy in the Big Ten this year. And then I think at the next level, we're talking like Reganey. I think Max Cooper, 5-6 years into the program, he's gonna, he's solid. He can run routes. We've got
a reliable guy who's going to catch the ball.
Reliable guy.
Our guy Coop's going to get some catches this
I think
year?
he'll get some catches. We got Charlie Jones, who has been great at punt return, and I think he'll be good at receiver. Another reliable guy. Then you have this Hudson kid who's got a body, and then you have the 2 freshmen. I think we have like 1 great receiver and then maybe 6 on that next level down that provides a lot of depth.
You think that Tyrone Tracy's going to be great?
I think he has the potential to be great. Yeah.
Well, then we have all we need in our offense. If we have 3 players that can be great, that's all you need.
Well,
the other guys
have
are window dressing.
Quarterback's got to get it to him consistently.
Right. But you can only spread the ball around so much. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you got 3 guys that you need to get that many touches to.
Goodson looked good. He's Tyler Goodson. So he scored a touchdown late in the practice.
It's hard to evaluate running backs in spring ball.
Yeah, it is.
Especially like when you're not doing live sessions.
Yeah.
Like, was that a tackle? Was that not? I don't know.
Our issue with running back right now is we have 4 on scholarship and Ivory Kelly Martin's hurt, right? So we have less depth than we normally do, but T Good is good. And I honestly think, in my personal opinion, it's more probably just because I'm more aware of him. The kid out of Dowling, which he's really out of Southeast Polk. Dowling just did their, they pulled their recruiting shit. Don't come after me if you're from West Des Moines. Gavin Williams, number 25, young kid. I think he'll be good. I think he'll be good once he just gets a little bit more reps. And yeah, so then that kind of leaves the offensive line, and you're just looking at a bunch of dudes who they're good, right? But are they Big Ten good? Are they Iowa linemen good? And it was really hard to get a feel for that when you're going up against a D line that's already kind of pieced together right now. I think on the D line, Van Valkenburg is going to be great. He had good experience last year and got better every single game and made some plays. I think that Wagner is another solid on the other end. And then I think Joe Evans, the freaking quarterback from Ames, who is playing D end at 248, it says on
he's
the
probably beefy by this point.
He's beefier and he's athletic. He's a mean son of a bitch. KB called him Smoking Joe Evans. So, if you got a nickname like that from KB, I think you're probably doing some shit in practice. He's going to be the gas guy. He's going to be the guy that comes in and provides
the motor.
the motor.
He needs to grow a mullet.
speaking of mullet, there's a kid named Mike Tim who's a walk-on from Wisconsin who just he's like savage back kind of spot. He's thick as hell. He's got a blonde
he's
mullet.
gonna be a four-phase guy for like his entire career.
Yeah.
Is he gonna be a fullback?
He's a linebacker.
He's a linebacker, but he probably
Is he gonna be a fullback?
Well, we got 2 fullbacks.
We don't need a fullback. We got a dude at fullback.
Yeah, Potapom is a dude. He's so much better than you, Drake.
Yeah, bro, I'm aware. We already went through this progression and like how each era is supposed to be better than the next.
You're right.
I'm way outdated in terms of Apple, and we're all getting programmed with this damn.
You're the iPhone 3.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
And he's the iPhone 12.
They upgraded his software, pal.
Yeah.
He's on 5G. You're on that 3G network.
Yeah. And let me tell you, dude, again, not that Keith is like
physical dude, man.
He's physical. He freaking runs well. He has awesome balance in space and out in the flat. And if he can, I don't know what else the NFL would expect or want out of a tight end, H-back, fullback. You know, that position that Daphne plays, basically. I don't know what more they would want out of a guy than what Monty Pottebaum has to offer. I really don't. I mean, he's good, and he's coming to town ready to fuck you up. And that's,
let's go, baby. That's all you need. More eye black, come to town ready to fuck you up.
Yeah. Now on the defensive,
I showed up with the right mindset. I just, didn't always pack my ass with me.
Right. You just had a few tools missing in the box. Most of them were there. Now on the defensive side of the ball to finish this thing up, again, we talked about the D-line kind of being pieced together. The back seven. I mean, Kevin, how fast does our back seven close on people? Holy shit.
We got some dudes that can break on the ball. Like
Belton.
Belton's like when just like get it and go speed is like bam. Like he puts his foot in the ground and he's hawking dude.
His 10 has to be so fast.
Yeah.
He was incredible.
Yeah. I thought our middle two linebackers in Benson and what's his name? Campbell. Big physical dudes. I like what we have there. Belton out playing in the cash. It's a very natural position for him. I think he's just a lock there. It'd be interesting to see what they do when they go to the traditional 4-3 with take the cash out, put a Leo in. One, who they're going to put that Leo spot, and two, where they put Belton. Do they move Belton back to strong then?
I don't know.
Because they had Kayvon taking some reps at strong while they had what's his name? Number 30 was taking the free safety.
Quinn Schulte. Dude, Drake, we've got this kid. So I don't know if you remember Bryce Schulte. He was there our senior year. He's like a tight end that hasn't really seen the field, just, walk-on guy doing his thing. His brother, Quinn Schulte, number 30. He's a little fucking Gervais prototype. And they said he works his ass off. He put a stick on Goodson on one of the plays on the sideline. And like, he's a walk-on going into his third year. So he's like a Jack Kerner, Gervais, Kevin Ward. Kevin was a little bigger than him, but
the whole lineage, dude. It's
Loudermilk, Tanner Miller. They were probably.
You forgot Snides in there.
Who?
Snides.
Oh, Snides. Probably going all the way back to like
Greenwood,
Pagel. Yeah. I mean,
but yeah, I think especially at safety, I don't think we've ever had this kind of depth.
And then at corner, we've got Moss and Hankins. I mean, once Hankins is healthy, those two have so much experience. And then you're looking at guys like Terry Roberts, who has shown up all over the field on special teams, and Jermari Harris, who is a guy. We were talking about him, Kev. He got a few reps in there as well. So the deepest position on the field, Parker's just sitting in his office every night thinking, we might as well just go to fucking 7 DBs. Just take the linebackers out of there.
He's saying it too.
Yeah.
He's walking around the building with a 12-inch swinger, just talking about, well, We're about to go to 7 DBs. We got all these goddamn good DBs in the room, and no other room can keep up.
We'll go.
Hey.
Know what he's doing? Know what he's doing? The DB room is right next to the LB room. He's just gonna be pounding on the wall there. He's like, "Hey, Seth, get your Leos out of there. We're not playing them anymore."
We got 2 positions at linebacker.
Hey, tell them to transfer.
Yeah. Dude, what's crazy about Jack Campbell, and I know that staying light will keep him. I mean, he's 245 is plenty to play in the Big Ten. But my guy Jack Campbell, he could put on 10 pounds and still be fine. I mean, he still looks a little lean, you know?
He's got just an unfair frame.
Unfair, dude. Unbelievable. If he's in the low mid 240s at what he looked like yesterday, he could legitimately be 255 and still be fast enough.
There's no reason to be. There's no reason for him to be.
Till he goes to the fucking Ravens and becomes Ray Lewis.
Yeah, I was going to say, until he's a guy like Dante Hightower, a guy like Reuben Foster.
But he doesn't need that yet. He's him, and then.
No, but I mean, like the NFL, they want them. They're downsizing the linebackers.
You're right.
You're
right.
With all these guys running around, so
him and
I
Seth,
know my guy Josie and my guy Ben are about to get second contracts.
Yeah, seriously. Him and Seth Benson could not be any different on body wise. Seth is a little bowling ball. I think he's 6'1". Let me see. Not even. He's 6 foot, 231. But he's physical, and he'll come up and meet you in the hole and do all the things a linebacker needs to do. So defense is going to be great as long as KB and the boys figure out 4 guys to consistently put in there who can just do enough. Right?
They'll get it done.
You need at least 6. You need
six guys. Again, I think that group almost mimics the receivers, where we're going to have like one good D lineman, and then you have a bunch of guys who just need to get there and do their thing and just get it done.
I want you to just put yourself in the mind frame of being a defensive line at Iowa that doesn't get the job done, and think about what it feels like. They can't live with that. They're going to get the job done, dude.
The defensive line has been the strongest part of our defense since I got there.
Right. That's my point.
I mean, going all the way back.
Imagine those guys flopping. They just simply don't. Like, they're going to get it done.
They'll figure it out. So the defense is going to be solid. The question, similar to last year, is can the offense put it together and find a way to score points? And then we have a chance in every single game. Like, it just is what it is, right? To leave you fans off yesterday, if you were some of them who, like, every time Deuce got the ball in his hands, you were like, oh, you could like hear the stadium start to like the noise crowd. Every time he threw a pass, he overthrew like a wide open receiver for a touchdown, and like everybody was like, oh, you could just hear
they wanted it so bad.
Deuce isn't probably going to be your quarterback this year. And I think that's okay. I think I tweeted it yesterday. I think that
right, then here we go. On the Wash Up Walk-Ons, me being Vegas, where do we set the line at?
For what?
Deuce starting?
Deuce to hit the transfer portal.
I would love to see him stay. He could start for 3 years after Petrus is gone, or I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Miller and Morehouse talked about this on their podcast too. Is like, do we have all 3 guys in spring ball next year, a year from now? The way that this transfer portal.
Hey, I'm not even on Twitter. I'm just asking questions.
It's tough.
What are the odds?
It depends on if Deuce.
Depends on what type of kid he is. If he wants to stick it out and grind it out, then there's no chance. But I don't know.
He has the potential to start for Iowa, but the question is does he get antsy, and is 2 years, 3 years too long for him to just ride the bench and then finally get his shot? That's honestly, I think he would be great if he could wait it out. Otherwise, it's on him, right? He's got to pick up that playbook and just figure it out if he wants to play, because right now the other 2 are clearly ahead of being more comfortable running the offense. It's just the way it is. That's it. We're going to have an episode later this week that Drake's super excited for.
That's all we got, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we went for 40, 50 minutes.
Yeah, man. I'm just bored.
I know. Go roll with some black belt or something.
I got to wait a couple hours.
All right, cool. Everybody have a fantastic Sunday. There will be another open practice. I'm not sure if I'll be there. I don't think Kevin's going to be there. So we'll talk about that when it gets there. But happy fucking week. Have a great week. The washed up Walkons are just happy to be back in Kinnick Stadium. We love Iowa football. That's it. Attack this week like Monty Pottebaum would attack a fucking linebacker. That's all I have to say. Peace.